Hey there. We are now in week 5 of the Romans Bible study. And today I just have um, a couple of things that I want to touch on. We are in chapters 9 and 10 of the book of Romans. Um, so, the two things I want to talk about are the first one is Jesus enough for you? Is Jesus enough? Um, and I ask that because a lot of times we add to what is required of us. All that God asks is to accept His gift, His gift to us. His gift to us is freedom in Christ. It is Christ Himself. It's Him. He is our gift. All we have to do is accept the gift. And by accepting the gift, we humble ourselves and accept that it is only He that can save us. It is only He that can cover our sin and draw us to Himself. And that He is enough because He is the creator of everything. He is all powerful. He is all in all. And if He's not enough, then what is enough? There isn't anything else. So um, He has to be enough. But very often we don't treat Him like He's enough. We think, oh, well, maybe we have to do some of these other things. Maybe we'll be more holy if we go to church every Sunday. We'll be more holy if we pray 3 times a day. And we add these ritualistic um, things to the salvation that Christ offers us. Or we can also sometimes listen to quote unquote new prophets, new leaders that have new revelation about what God says that isn't anywhere in the Bible. And as though they have something to add to what Christ has already done, what Christ has already said. And following these new leaders and speakers and pastors and other authors becomes sometimes more important to us than Christ Himself. And so I challenge you to ask yourself, is Christ enough for me? Is Christ enough for me? Or am I like the Israelites who in Romans 10, Paul says in 10:4 through 9, it says, Christ is the end of the law so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. Moses describes it in this way, the righteousness that is by the law. The man who does these things will live by them. But the righteousness that is by faith says, do not say in your heart, who will ascend into heaven, as if they could bring Jesus down from heaven. Or who will descend into the deep, as if they could go down into the deep and bring Christ up from the dead. But what does it say? It says, the word is near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith that we're proclaiming, that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. we don't, we can't. We can't do anything that can bring Christ down from heaven or up from the dead. And the ancient Israelites thought that they had to do things to try and do that, that it was up to them to bring Christ to earth to save them. And we know in our minds that we can't do that. But sometimes in our deepest heart of hearts, sometimes the way that we behave, it indicates that maybe we don't think Christ is quite enough for us. And I encourage you to look at that. There are doubts creep in, and sometimes we think that we have to jump through hoops and do extra things. It's like God promised us something, and we feel like, oh, God is taking too long, and I need to do something about it. Those kinds of things. Is Christ enough? Is Christ enough? And related to that, another thing that I wanted to touch on today that Paul touches on in these chapters also is that sometimes we think that, we fall into the trap of thinking that our upbringing or our habits somehow save us. And this would be, thinking that, well, I'm a Christian because I go to church every week, or I'm a Christian because my parents are Christians. And those things can't save us either. And we need to confess with our mouth and believe with our hearts that Jesus is Lord and that He is enough, that going to church and doing Bible studies and going to prayer group, all of those things are wonderful, good things, but they don't save us and they don't make us more holy or more righteous. They don't bring Christ down from heaven. They they are good things that can draw us closer to Christ if Christ is already here. But they don't have the power to save. And they can't replace Christ. And by hanging around at church, by hanging around Christians, doesn't make us one. We have to adopt, we have to not adopt, we have to confess that Christ is our Lord, that He is enough for us, that our works, that our good intentions, they cannot save, only Christ can. And so I would encourage you to take a look at that and just take a moment of reflection and ask God to reveal anything that may be hindering you from really understanding and feeling that God is enough, that Christ is enough, that salvation through Jesus Christ is enough for you, that that you truly know in their deepest parts that God, all powerful, the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of the universe, the creator of everything, the one who knows the tiniest little bits of DNA inside of you, and knows the name of every star in the universe, that he is enough. Because if he's not enough, then what is enough? What could possibly be enough if he's not enough? So I pray with you that he would just show you any place in your heart where maybe you don't really feel that way, that he would fill that place in your heart with a knowledge of him that is deeper and wider and higher, that you would know the depths of his love for you, and that you would sincerely feel that he is enough. And I bless you that today as we move forward in our study. Um, have a wonderful, blessed day.